Let's talk a little about verbs. In school, a verb was probably described to you as a doing word, meaning an action was being performed. For example, walk, run, eat, speak. An easy way to recognize a verb is that you can put the word to in front of it. To walk, to run, to laugh, to eat, to speak, etc. In most European languages, verbs change their form depending on whether you're talking in the present, past, or future tense. For example, in English, I eat, I ate, I have eaten, I will eat, all result in the verb changing or having something added to it. Fortunately, in Mandarin, verbs almost never change. So, I eat, I ate, and I am eating all remain as 吃. Keep this in mind as we go on. Paying attention to where the verbs are will help you understand Chinese sentences. Do you remember how to say, "Hello, do you speak English?"
你好，你会说英文吗？你好，你会说英文吗？
There are no direct words for yes and no in Mandarin. When replying to this question, one would usually just repeat the verb. For example, 会 for I can speak, or 不会 for I cannot speak. Ask, can you speak Chinese?
你会说中文吗？
Reply, yes.
会。会。
What was the word for but?
但是。
Do you remember how to count 1, 2, 3?
1、2、3。
And how do you say 2 apples?
2个苹果。
The words for 4, 5, and 6 are
4、5、6。4、5、6。4、5、6。
and the word for to have in Mandarin is
有。有。有。有。
You can remember it by thinking, I have a yo-yo, which incidentally in Mandarin would be 我有一个悠悠球. Say, I have 4.
我有4个。我有4个。
You have 5.
你有5个。你有5个。
Say, I have 1, but she has 6.
我有1个，但是她有6个。我有1个，但是她有6个。
Notice again in English, have becomes has when we say she has, but in Mandarin it stays the same because verbs don't change. What were the complete words for this and that?
这个，那个。这个，那个。
Using those complete words for emphasis, say, this is mine, that is yours.
这个是我的，那个是你的。这个是我的，那个是你的。
What was the word for the English language?
英文。
And how did you say, I have?
我有。
Count again from 1 to 6.
1、2、3、 4、5、6。
The word for a little or a bit is
1点，1点，1点。
that is literally 1 bit. Say, I can speak a little Chinese.
我会说一点中文。我会说一点中文。
Now say, hello, I'm David. I can't speak English, but I can speak a little Chinese.
你好，我是 David。我不会说英文，但是我会说一点中文。你好，我是 David。我不会说英文，但是我会说一点中文。
Say, I really like apples.
我很喜欢苹果。我很喜欢苹果。
Ask, do you have any apples? You don't need to say any in Mandarin.
你有苹果吗？你有苹果吗？
Reply, I have 4.
我有4个。我有4个。
Say, I have 5.
我有5个。
And I have 6.
我有6个。
How might you ask, do you want one?
你要一个吗？你要一个吗？
Reply, yes, thanks. Literally, I want, thanks.
我要，谢谢。我要，谢谢。
And ask, do you want to eat?
你要吃饭吗？你要吃饭吗？
Do you remember how to say, I can speak a little Chinese?
我会说一点中文。我会说一点中文。
When written down, the Chinese language is made up of pictographic characters. Each character has its own meaning and represents one syllable. For example, the word 中文 has 2 syllables and so 2 characters. You have 中 meaning China or middle and 文 meaning language, specifically the written language. For English, 英文, you have 英 meaning England or hero combined with 文 to give England language. If you want to specify England the country, you need to combine the ying with another character. The character for country is
国，国，国，国。
so if 中文 means Chinese, how might you say China?
中国，中国，中国。
And England?
英国，英国，英国。
Now that actually means the UK. Separate words do exist for England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland, but they are rarely used. If you refer to yourself as British, you can use 英国. However, it's a good idea to remember that the character ying refers to English, and only when it's combined with country does it change to the UK. How would you say, I want, meaning intend, to go to the UK?
我要去英国。我要去英国。
How would you say, I would like to go to China, but I don't speak Chinese?
我想去中国，但是我不会说中文。我想去中国，但是我不会说中文。
Now you'll notice the words 中国 and 苹果 both have a syllable, 果, which sound very similar. When written down, the characters are totally different, but when spoken, they can sound similar. For this reason, if you wanted to say this country, you would need to add an extra character to the end of 果 to clarify you're referring to a country and not to a fruit, just as we did with 这个 and 吃饭. The full word for country on its own is
国家，国家，国家，国家。
How do you say, I like the UK?
我喜欢英国。
How do you say, I like China?
我喜欢中国。
And how do you say, I like this country?
我喜欢这个国家。我喜欢这个国家。
And how do you say, I like this?
我喜欢这个。
There, the 个 in 这个 is serving a similar function to the 家 in 国家. Because there are a limited number of syllables in Chinese, this happens a lot. You'll frequently come across words which can be expressed with either one or two characters, depending on where they are used in a sentence, so get used to it. Do you remember how to say, I have?
我有。我有。
And how do you say a little or a bit?
一点。一点。
How would you say, I have a little?
我有一点。
What was the word for English?
英文。
And England?
英国。英国。
And how did you say the word country on its own?
国家。国家。
Now actually, on its own, the character 家 means home, so 国家 is a little like saying nation home. How do you say home in Mandarin?
家。家。家。
Unlike country, the word for home, 家, can be used on its own without adding an extra character. With that in mind, how would you say, this is my home?
这是我的家。这是我的家。
Do you remember how to count from 1 to 6?
1、2、3、4、5、6。1、2、3、4、5、6。
And how do you say, I have 2 apples?
我有2个苹果。我有2个苹果。
And how do you say, I want to eat, meaning you intend to?
我要吃饭。 我要吃饭。
Say, I want to go and eat, or I want to go eat.
我要去吃饭。我要去吃饭。
How do you say, your home?
你的家。你的家。
How did you ask, how are you?
你怎么样？
So how might you ask, how is your home?
你的家怎么样？你的家怎么样？
Try and say, I would like to go to your home to eat.
我想去你的家吃饭。我想去你的家吃饭。
And how do you say, your country?
你的国家。你的国家。
And what were the words for China and the UK?
中国。英国。中国。英国。
How do you say, he cannot speak English?
他不会说英文。他不会说英文。
Say, I can speak a little Chinese, but he cannot speak English.
我会说一点中文，但是他不会说英文。我会说一点中文，但是他不会说英文。
The word for big or large in Mandarin is
大。大。大。大。
And how did you say, I'm well?
我很好。我很好。
This was a case where we had to say very, 很, because 好 on its own was too ambiguous. Big, 大, being only one character is the same. If you want to say China is big, you have to say very big for clarity. Say China is big.
中国很大。中国很大。
And how did you say I'm not well?
我不好。我不好。
So how would you say the UK is not big?
英国不大。英国不大。
In both these cases, we don't need to use 很 because the 不 serves the purpose of clarifying the word. How do you say this is big?
这个很大。这个很大。
But how did you say this is mine?
这个是我的。这个是我的。
Here we used 是 because we're linking two nouns, this and mine. But we didn't use it with 很大 because 很大 is just describing a noun. Say, this is my home.
这个是我的家。or 这是我的家。这个是我的家。or 这是我的家。
But how might you say, this is good?
这个很好。这个很好。
Do you remember the full word for country?
国家